Hey guys, Dean Rojas here, and here with BassResource.com. All your great information and tips on bass fishing, and I'm going to share some tips, some stuff with you with frog fishing for the fall and the summer, fall, in that range, and talk about color selection and talking about areas to throw the frog at. It's getting late in the season, and so now we're going to cover the fall on this. And I'm just going to share the information that I've gathered over the years of throwing the frog to you, so that makes you a better frog fisherman when you go out there. You can utilize these tips. So, fishing, across the country like I do, I'm always faced with different conditions, different times of the year where we start our tour in the early spring and we end, towards the fall where the water temperature starts to cool off. So we're faced with a lot of different conditions. But talking about fall, it's on the different spectrum of the springtime where, the frog bite is usually waning as opposed to being in its height during the summertime and then in the springtime. So it requires a little bit different technique in a sense of trying to break everything down and knowing exactly what type of cover that they're on or around. So it's and a lot of times in the fall, the water temperature obviously is cooling down. A lot of the vegetation, the grass, starts to wane and starts to die down. And as you know, here comes the north wind. The north wind is cold, it's brisk, it starts to blow the mats, it starts to kill the grass. The daylight is waning every day. We're losing 5 minutes, 3 minutes apart, depending on your on part of the country that you live in. So the fish know it's getting that time. We're getting less and less sunlight, so the water temperature is starting to cool down. And again, like the springtime, I found that throughout the entire years that I've been doing this, there's these windows where they bite the frog really good. And in the fall, it reminds me a lot on the springtime where there's, it can be really cool in the morning. You'll have fog in the morning, the mist coming off the surface where you have cold air, warm water, and you have those type of conditions where everything's cooling down. It seems like you can catch them on a frog maybe first thing in the morning, but it seems like, again, it's that window from about 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock where it's going to be optimum, where it's that the sun is going to be pretty close to being at its highest. The water temperature is going to be at its warmest for that day, and that's where you're going to find the shadows, the cover, where you have shade pockets and air and patches of grass where you can visually see them in the water. So those are the things that you want to concentrate on, is fishing in and around the grass, because the grass is going to be dying, it's going away at that particular moment. So you want to be able to figure out what patches of grass that they're on, if they're on pads, hydrilla, milfoil, eelgrass. It could be any kind of grass that's on the surface that the fish can get in and around. Again, you're going to catch really good quality fish in the fall. It's going to be really good, but you also need to figure out where they're positioned, because they could be in a foot of water or they can be in 4 feet of water on a big flat. So it's just a matter of breaking it down and fishing high percentage spots where a bass, if they're there, you can get them to bite. And they're going to tell you exactly where you need to be at and where you need to be throwing at, and to where you can catch those fish. But if you're planning on frogging, I would do that a little bit later in the day. Tackle wise, you can use anywhere from, say, a 7-foot action, medium heavy. This is Spro medium heavy action, and then you go to a 7.2 for a little bit heavier action, and 7.4 action if you're fishing over mats that are deteriorating or going away, to where you can cover a lot of ground and fish multiple spanses of just grass and find out what they're keying in on. And one of the things to remember too when you're fishing those big grass mats is always try to fish around areas that have multiple species of grass, where you'll have a lily pad and you'll have some hydrilla, milfoil mixed in. Those are always really good magnets for the bass. So if you're going to be in and around a grass mat and it's got a few little patches in that's where the bass are going to be. They like something different. Irregularities is good for them in the water, and those are the things that you want to concentrate on when you're fishing open spanses of grass, which we have that in the fall, in the summer and in the fall. Tackle wise, you know, we use 80-pound FX2 braid, you know, and I like to mix it up with the colors and so forth. This is our Outback color. It's a very popular color across the whole country. It basically, you know, it's a brown shad color and something that you can throw all year long. It really doesn't matter, and it's going to catch them, especially in the fall, you know, when they're in and around the grass mats and so forth. Water temperature is key. Obviously, the warmer the water, the better off you're going to be. It's going to be cool in the mornings, but in the afternoon is where it's going to heat up, and that's where you want to be at, in and around that cover, and that's going to be that time where they're going to punch through the mat or punch through the grass to come get the bait. So, but just don't be afraid to throw it. It's a lot of fun. You can still catch a lot of fish doing it, and some big ones for that matter as well. So, you know, hopefully that helps you, you know, when you're going out there going fishing in the fall and being prepared to go frogging all day. It's a lot of fun, and especially if you're just hanging out with your buddies and just slinging frogs in and around the grass. And watching the explosion. It's an awesome deal. So for Bass Resorts, I'm Dean Rojas, and thanks for tuning in.